Okay. Good day, everyone. Welcome to 30 Minutes with Lynxspring, our monthly webinar series. My name is Robert Hirsch. I'm Senior Vice President and COO of Lynxspring. Thank you for joining us today. We had a little technical issue there, but I think we've got it taken care of, and hopefully everybody can hear me just fine of the presentation. So please share your questions in the chat function. Today's webinar, we're looking at self-describing data, tagging, semantic modeling with Project Haystack, and Lynxspring's new Onyxx BACnet to Haystack Data Pump. It's pretty exciting stuff for us, so we're glad you're able to join us. With me today is Shawn Jacobson, our Director of Application Development. He will be presenting the demonstration to you as we move through the presentation. I also have Rick Gibson. He's a new member of Lynxspring. He's our product executive. He will be in the future actively involved with more of 30 Minutes with Lynxspring as we roll out more products and services with Onyxx. All right, next screen, please. So let's get started here. Smart edge devices are creating dramatic increases in the amount of data available from our facilities. We all know that. While new software applications are creating new ways to benefit from that data, these advances are enabling a fundamental shift in how we manage or want to manage and operate our buildings, moving us from a traditional control strategy based on simple feedback loops that are internal to the building only, to more methodologies that inform operators, service providers about the actual functionality of a building and performance thereof, and even in real time in some cases. These trends are helping us improve efficiency and drive savings in both energy and overall operational costs. So, data. Let's take what is actionable about our data. With more data available more than ever before in our industry, it's presenting us a new challenge. Our data is stored and communicated in many different formats because it is inconsistent, it has non-standard name conventions, and limit descriptors to understand its meaning. Back in the day, we really had no way to collaborate between systems and individuals, technicians, installation crews of what meaningful data should look like. Simply put, the operational data from our edge devices today and equipment systems just simply lacks information to describe its real meaning. Without meaning, a time-consuming manual effort, going back and re-identifying points is required before that data can be used effectively to generate value. The result is data from devices, while technically available, is hard to use and limits the ability of building operators to fully benefit from the value contained in that data. So our challenges. Interesting, with all the smart buildings that we've gained over the last decade and the adoption of standard communication protocols, most building automation systems provide little to no ability to provide meaningful or semantic information about the data they contain. There's been no standardization. These systems provide points with a name without universal standardization, a value in units but little other information, like I said before. The result is a process is required to manually map and organize data before any effective use of the data can then begin. That is what we're looking at. That's the challenge that was brought before Lynxspring from our customer base and from our adventure into the new IoT of things. Is this: how do we tackle data that is not consistent, not standardized, and how do we effectively bring that into an environment that we can use it without too much manpower. Slide 5. So today we are implementing a Project Haystack methodology to our technologies in Onyxx. The opportunity to use data to reduce energy and improve operational efficiencies and performance stifled by labor costs associated with manual mapping of system data and the continued inconsistency of these efforts. Project Haystack's mission, however, is to define this common vocabulary to model sites, buildings, systems, equipment, points, etc. Best of all, with Project Haystack modeling, we can automate this process and unlock the value of our data. To utilize data in value-added applications, for example, what we have today is that we may have a value, but that value may not have much information associated with when we just pull the information out of a system. It may say 77.6 degrees, however, what is the units of that data? What equipment is it identified with? What site or what building is it associated with? And what customer does it serve? So you ask, how can we capture all this information, model it from our automation systems, and share it with applications? There we go. Well, today we're going to introduce to you our Onyxx BACnet to Haystack Data Pump. This is a product, like I said, has been, soon will be in the market, but it's been in the field for a number of months. It is a collaborative effort from our customers and the need to service the needs of our their end users to gather data, use the Internet of Things, leverage the Internet of Things, and get information to applications. This is not an application, I got to mind you. This is simply a data mining machine. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so designed to streamline and interchange data from BACnet devices and building systems, the Onyxx BACnet to Haystack Data Pump provides BACnet to Haystack network communication and data exchange to Haystack servers. It handles the protocol translation for BACnet points into representative Haystack points, BACnet devices and associated equips to Haystack devices and associated equips. It manages the BACnet network or IP or MSTP. At this point, I won't hold Shawn back much longer, but I want to have him pull up the Onyxx BACnet to Haystack Data Pump interface and step you through the phases of it. And what you're going to find out is that it's fairly simple in its uses. I think anybody can learn how to use this in a fairly quick manner, as long as you know the elementary facts and of BACnet and how to connect to it. We can discover, add devices, add points, bring it in as representative of Haystack points and devices, and then tell it where to push its data to a Haystack server. So Shawn, if you have a chance, can you move that into your screen? Yep. Up top to the right. Okay. Not sure you get it. That one. Try that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You guys want to watch along, something like that. Or not. Go ahead. Anyway, so yeah, I'm Shawn Jacobson. I help lead the development of this product. If you have any questions, I don't think we have a Q&A at the end or anything. No? Yep. We do. Yep. If you have questions, just use your, I guess the sidebar there. Sidebar there, and we'll try to get as many of them answered as we can at the end of it. But basically, a quick little demo of what the product is. We try to simplify it as much as possible and keep it straightforward.
When you first go to the product, you will come to the home page, which gives you a little quick rundown of where everything is, what's there, and how to get started with the product. There's also a more comprehensive help page that goes more into depth about each little setting that's available. So you can always use that. Obviously, the most comprehensive documentation and help you're going to get is in our user guide. It will have a link on this homepage once it's completed and added to the product. It's imminent at this point, but it will be there so you have full access to all the information you need right on the device. When you first get into the device, though, the first thing you're going to want to do is come in and change up the settings and make it obviously set up for your environment and what you need. You're able to set the system time, date, time zone, as well as the site information. This is really important for Haystack, as all Haystack is based off a site equip point model. So the site is the top level object. You can have more than one site, which I'll show you when I get to the configuration, but there always has to be at least one default site. So you want to get this set up for where you're at. If you're having issues, certainly change the debug level down to message or trace. That will help provide our support technicians some more information. But in general, you'll keep it at error where only errors are being reported due to the system log. You'll need to set up your BACnet network. We have the local device settings here, so you can set up the object ID, the timeouts for the ABDUs, as well as enable the different networks that are available. We will support IP, Ethernet, and MSP networks out of the gate. So just check the boxes by the ones you want to enable and make sure your settings are where they need to be. The application works off a pole interface. So you need to set up the pole rate. That's what these collection rates are. You basically have 3 buckets to put your stuff into. When you pull in the points, you get to decide whether they are part of the slow, normal, or fast, and that will determine at what rate those points are getting pulled from the BACnet system. Obviously, this also needs to be configured depending on your system. If you're built bringing in a large system, you might need to slow you down. If you're really just hitting one device, you might be able to speed them up and get near real time. It all depends on the system you're dealing with. As it sits today, our discovery parameters are here. This will be modified so that when you're doing a discovery, you can enter these on the fly and change it on the fly. But like I said, right now they're right here. And you set them here so that when you hit discovery on the configuration page, it knows which networks to discover, what your high and your low IDs are, and what you want your discovery timeout to be. Blank networks means it's going to discover all the networks that are available. You have your Haystack settings. The most important ones are the ones up top. URI is obviously the URI of the Haystack server you are connected to. All Haystack servers, most of them that we've dealt with so far today, always have a project associated with each server. And then obviously you have to have the proper credentials to log into that object. So you provide your username and password to log in. As it sits today, we do have 2 systems that we support out of the box, Connection and SkySpark. We do support basically all Haystack. Unfortunately, until the next release of the Haystack standard, there is not a standard on login functionality. So all the different Haystack servers out there, there's 3 of them that I know of, all have different ways of logging in. So we have to know what system you are so we get you logged in properly. Hopefully with the 0.0 release of Haystack, or I guess it'll be 3.0, we'll have a more consistent stance there and won't have to worry about that so much. As far as how your data gets up to the Haystack server, you have 2 options here. You can push at a rate, whether it be every hour, every 5 hours, every 30 minutes. That's really up to you and the proprietor of the Haystack server to coordinate that and how you guys want to handle that. You can also just push at a specific time of day. So you only want 1 push a day, and you want to do it at 3 in the morning when no one's connected, you certainly have that option. Standard IP settings, local IP, host name, DNS, pretty standard stuff here. I'm not going to spend any time on that. We also provide you some utilities to manage your device. We will be providing upgrades throughout time. There's an option here to be able to upgrade that firmware directly, so we'll send out files every once in a while. You'll want to come in, if they pertain to you, and run an upgrade. The ability to change the admin password, obviously, and then a backup and restore functionality, which allows you to take a backup of the current state of the device and then obviously restore it at a later point, as well as the option to restore to a factory state if you ever need to completely reset the device. Settings are pretty boring, so I try to run through those pretty quick, so I wouldn't lose anybody there, but they are what they are. You get them set up once, and hopefully never ever look at this page again. Configuration page is where all the good stuff happens. This is where you actually configure your device, get everything brought in and set up. Before I move everything around, kind of go over the sections real quick. There are basically three main sections split up into two halves. The right half is all the Haystack information. This is where all your site, equipment, and points will show up. It's made for a little bit larger screen than my laptop screen is, so I'm just kind of moving stuff around to make it all look right. But trust me, if you're on a normal screen, it's fine. And that's why we made it movable, so when you're not, you can adjust it as needed. So all this stuff will go on the Haystack side. There really isn't a whole lot to show on this point until I do the BACnet side, so we'll go over that side. The BACnet side is split up into two halves. There is the discoverable section and the database. Obviously, I'm just getting started, so I don't have anything in my database right now. So the first thing I need here to do is do a discovery to start finding the devices that are on my network. We have a lot of devices on our network, unfortunately. More fortunately, I guess, depends on your perspective. So we hit discovery to go out to the network and do who it is and find all the BACnet devices that are out there. Once it brings them all in, I can start clicking the plus sign. The plus sign will automatically tell us to do a point discovery on that device and bring in all of the objects we support. Out of the gate, we will support all the analog, binary, and multi-state objects. And in each one of those, there is the input, the output, and the value. So 9 objects up front we support out of the gate. Obviously, we support the device object at the level that you need to pull the device in, but we don't allow you to do anything else with the device outside of that. Once you have the object, you can select the points you want to add. Click the Add button. This will do two things. It will add them to the database. It will also create equip records for the devices and point records for the points in Haystack side. And I'll get over to that side in a little bit and show you what it did, but believe me, there's some of it on the right too. So it added the device and the 3 points to the database. So they are now running. They are polling. They're all polling at the normal rate by default. That is also configurable on the Haystack side, so we'll get to that in a second. I do want to cover one thing. We do have the ability to filter points. So I can type in a filter. It will match points set unless I don't type in and get filtered. Oh, it'll highlight all those things that it matches, and it'll bubble up the ones that match more frequently to the top of the list. So you can quickly find the information you're trying to find and get it out of the database. We do have the ability to see the audit log from a discovery. If something went wrong, we'll provide you information that might help our support tech. Mostly, hopefully, though, you don't really care about the participation, honestly, hopefully. Hopefully, you're not really too worried about the IAM responses that are coming to you, but if it needs it, it's there for you. I get this one thing selected here. Anyway, once they're all added, I can select an item. I can view the details of it, get a little more information than our table shows. Current value, object ID. Also from this side, I can initiate another tag if there's a reason point needs to be showing up more than once. An example of this would be a shared temperature sensor, outside air temp, something to that effect. I might want to tag it multiple times under different equips in Haystack, and you have the ability to do that if you need to. Or if you accidentally deleted it from the Haystack side, you can re-add it. That's about all there is on the BACnet side. There is export and import functionality. It will export a CSV file to you that you can then take into Excel, modify it however you need to do, and then import it back in. It's a quick way to do mass updates if you need to do a ton of updates to the system. It's set right above the BACnet database, but it actually handles the whole site. It gives you the ability to change all the Haystack tags, site tags, everything you need to do. On the Haystack side, you will see that it did add my device. It added my 3 points, and it went ahead and tagged them with the known Haystack tags that it can do. So, it gave it a site ref, the only site that was there. It assigned it to the equipment it's assigned to. It put a point tag on it, assigned to the same time zone that your site is set up to, and it set it to the normal collection rate. So if you want to change the collection rate and make something fast, this is where you do that. If I make that fast, that point will now pull at the fast rate, as opposed to all the other ones which pull at the slow rate. So that's how that works. Obviously with Haystack, the normal tags are not what the benefit is. The benefit with Haystack comes in creating custom tags, defining your equipment at a more granular level. So I want to go in here and I want to mark this tag. I'm going to say that this is an HVAC. Let's say temp. Sensor. I've now told it that this outside air point is my sensor, which means it's measuring as part of the HVAC system, measuring temperature. That's not all that exciting, but it is what it is. You try to leave a page without saving your information. The system is nice enough to say, hey, you sure you want to do that? You can choose to then save the record, start it, or cancel your action. We'll go ahead and save it. I'm not sure why I did that. Hit the wrong button anyway. You do have the ability to add new points and new equipment. To do that, it brings up a brand new page, which then I can assign it to a device. Oh, no, I'm adding a piece of equipment, so what am I having here for? All right, well, I was looking at that. But you're supposed to be able to assign it to a piece of equipment. You give it a display name, whatever you want to call it. There's a site that it needs to be assigned to. Oh, here's the quick ref. I was looking in the wrong port. My bad. If you assign it down here, this is where it would show you what you were already assigned to. Sorry. Choose the time zone. This should default to where you're at. I didn't miss that part. And then you can add your custom tags here as well. So whatever this point's going to be, we'll actually give it a unit. String tag. Let's make it a KW object. Since it's KW, I should probably make it a meter. Let's deal with electricity. And I've now created a new point under that device that will report to Haystack. Now, the downside is right now it is not connected to anything. So if I actually wanted to connect it to a real BACnet point, that's where I can come in and say, this is actually the same as my cooling stage 2. I just need it under this equipment for some other reason. Now I know it's very KW, it's not really cooling stage, but just bear with me. It's a demo. It doesn't have to be accurate, right? Once you have your entire system set up, so at this point you're working locally. You have not told the Haystack server of anything you've done so far. When you turn on the Haystack server, this button is active as it is now. You click this button and it actually will do a data push to the Haystack server, create all your site records, all your equip records, and all your point records in that server, and tell you that way you're up to date and you can start pushing the actual history data. Until you are synced, you will not push history data. You have to have those objects in the remote Haystack server for this to work. My battery's dying. My battery's running low, so if I die on you here, bear with me. I am almost done anyway, so it should be good. You have to sync. Once you sync, then you're able to, the history data will automatically start pushing at an interval that you defined on the other page. So at your either push rate or your push time, as we showed on the other page, you will be able to define that. I don't think there's a whole lot more to really go over.
Battery switch.
Covered that. And I can go through and show you creating a new site and new equip and everything else, but it's really not that exciting. So yeah, I mean, I think we're probably just ready to go to Q&A and see if they're having to do that. Yeah.
All right, can you switch back? Thank you, Shawn. This is Bob again. That just FYI, the product Onyxx BACnet to Haystack Data Pump. It is just that. It pumps data out of a site and it pushes it into a Haystack server. It's not dependent on an automation system. It can work with a building automation system. It is compliant with BACnet. The driver works excellent. It's easy to install. The power requirements are wall wart connected to the power supply to the barrel plug within the Onyxx device. On the Haystack side, Haystack servers that I'm familiar with, I believe there are 3 available today. One is, I believe another one might be from J2. Another is from Connex Energy called Connection. Others are probably out there, but I'm not fully aware of what they all are. So
I should have mentioned that J2 uses actually SkySpark as their engine. So if you have a J2 instance, just choose the SkySpark option under which type of system you're connected to.
So there you go. I believe you saw that in his demonstration. So just quickly here, key features of the data pump, of which, let me remind you, the product is going to be released next week, Monday. The 23rd, I believe that is. 21st. Okay, that is Monday. Compatible with Haystack servers. Haystack output is client server.
BACnet's extended data model is actually, they are trying really hard to, and working with the Haystack project Haystack community to bring in what Haystack has already done. So it's the extended data model that BACnet's currently working on, they're working on it with Haystack. So they should end up being compatible with each other, to be honest with you. So if you're moving down that path of using the extended data model and not working with Haystack, then you possibly don't need this. But I know that work is pretty early on at this point. So.
All right, moving forward. Are there any options to script in the data? Can you answer that one? I'm not sure what you mean by scripting in the data, but no, as it sits today, you go through and you build out your points through the system. If you're talking about just trying to script in your list of points, certainly you could do that instead of ever doing an export. Once you know the structure of the export file, you could certainly create that file on the fly with a script and then just import the data that way. Which for a large system and a large site might be easier than going through this interface, to be honest with you. But the setup of the object is pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with Haystack at all, Haystack works off of what's called grids. If you're familiar with those grids, that's what we accept as an import, is the grid. So put it in there, and every Haystack object and BACnet object will be created on the fly based off that grid, and certain tags that are required for the BACnet side, which if you're going down that path, certainly just email we share with you, or set up a couple devices and do an export, and you'll see them for yourselves in the provided CSV. Okay, let's go to the next one. What if I wanted to group some equipment, for example, lighting on a particular floor?
This device is only about getting data out of a building. The Objects we've known about so far that have been doing use only types, equip, and points. There are some people I've seen that are using a site ref underneath a site to create a structure like that. We haven't had that at this point, but we strive to get that added to this model as a feature where you can add subsites to subsites so you can create a more structured navigation, if you say. But keep in mind, the object of this is not to create navigation. This is not a device you're going to come to try to look at your data. It's there simply to get the data out to the application that you will go view the data in.
All right. How many points does the device support? That's a good question. We really haven't put a limit on it or a hard limit on it at all. So
Somehow you'd have to get the new point information into it. If that's the case, you could use the Discover, bring the point into the database, go to the old equip record, and then you should be able to select the device and the point that it actually is associated with. There's ways to do it. I guess I'd need a better rundown of exactly what the situation was to give a real solid answer.
Okay. And feel free to send us other questions at support@lynxspring.com if we don't get to them here. There's some pretty straight up questions here. What is the cost? We're advertising the cost at $695. We talked about how many points. It'll be available starting Monday. The part number is Onyxx BH311. You don't necessarily have to be a Lynxspring business partner to order a product. So you can go to at orders@lynxspring.com to place an order for this product. Let's do a couple more questions here. Did you say Onyxx supports trend log objects, or is the data pump collecting the data?
On initial release, the data pump is collecting the data. We do not support trend objects at this release. It is one of the things that will be in one of our early updates, I'm sure. It's a pretty important feature that we want to get to. We just have not done it yet.
I think there was a question earlier. It says how much, if you lost connection, how much data the device buffer. We believe that it easily can buffer up to 30 days worth of data. And then it will push the data again.
Obviously, that's dependent on how many points you have in your system, though. So if you're pushing the limits and getting 8,000 points in there, you're probably looking at more 15, 20 days. But normal system, we consider normal be probably 2,500 points. You should be safe for 30 days easily.
How many more we want to do? How many devices? We already answered that.
At the Ethernet port, you want to cover that as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the questions was, when will the device have a second Ethernet port on it? We are currently in development of an option for a second Ethernet port. In the meantime, though, I would like to point out to people that the firmware has the ability to assign multiple IP addresses to one. Something standard in most Linux distributions. We did not give the ability for you to set more than one IP address on it through the interface, but if that's something that's a requirement on your job, feel free to do it and we can work with you to work.
All right. Here's an easy one. Does it support MSTP and BACnet IP at the same time or only one at a time? So sorry, simultaneous support is included with BACnet. Can I incorporate this with a front end that exists already for a building as a data source for other buildings using maybe a LAN network? I'm not exactly sure. Jason, if you could, you might want to send that question to support@lynxspring.com so we can get more information from you. There was other questions about whether this will support Modbus and so on and so forth. The question is not at this point. It's just BACnet. However, we endeavor to solicit your thoughts, ideas, requests for other protocols, Modbus being one, LAN being another, and pick your others. So we've got a good format, a good platform for data pump technology, and it's just a matter of adding the different protocols to the device, we think, moving forward. So we look forward to providing you more options in the future, and thank you for attending. I know this went over a little bit, and sorry for the early technical difficulties, but hopefully you can understand that. We look forward to seeing you next month for the next 30 minutes with Lynxspring. Thank you. Bye.